To manage is to be in contact with your employees, to follow up on the files, of course, but also to follow up with the people and co-construct projects together. Here are a few extracts from the course. First, an extract on practicing active listening.
Do you want to be a better active listener? Develop your curiosity. In any communication, we are tempted to take shortcuts on what the other person is saying. We think we understand them, but above all, we want to express ourselves in return, rather than listening longer to the other person, rather than really being interested in them. Because of a lack of curiosity, we miss the other, we filter what they tell us, we don't try to dig deeper into what they say. As a manager or an expert, we tend to interrupt the other person when they tell us about a difficulty. We believe we already have the solution. We think it is our role to quickly suggest solutions instead of listening to the other person or asking questions until they find their own solution. This is why we often suggest very few options to solve problems and conflicts. Indeed, we have very little information at our disposal about the situation, about the other's vision, or about their needs. And sometimes we don't even have clear information about our own desires.
Second, an extract on the art of negative feedback. Remember, you are not a parent who has to lecture your child to keep quiet, to listen to you and to obey you. You are an adult trying to understand another adult, to hear their point of view and to build the future in a common direction that is consistent with the department's objectives and corporate values. Listening to your colleague will allow you to determine to what extent they are really responsible for the situation. Is it just a mistake or is it a fallacy? Is the problem due to a lack of training, a lack of information, a lack of ability, in which case it is the responsibility of the manager? Or is the situation due to a lack of attention, of motivation, or even worse, a will to harm, in which case it is more the responsibility of the employee? And a third extract on conducting the annual performance review.
Second advice, the annual review needs to be prepared. The manager and the employee should prepare for the meeting by analysing the successes and challenges of the year and by reflecting on the future goals. I advise you to go further than the few questions often asked online by your company. Write your own questions, prepare the agenda, list your own questions and give them to your employee at least 15 days before the date of the interview. Ask them to prepare themselves. Say this is an essential condition to do the meeting, otherwise you will postpone it. And do the same. Prepare for this meeting. Once a year, it's really worth it. The first question to ask your employee at the beginning of the review is, Mark, did you take the time to think about and answer the questions I gave you? If Mark arrives at the meeting unprepared, if he tells you that he didn't have time to look at the questions, if he says no, or a little bit, have the courage to postpone the meeting, to prove to him that it really matters. Your employee is probably still on the old model of, my manager's going to evaluate me, it's up to them to talk. Depending on what they tell me, I will answer. No. It will be above all up to the employee to speak up. This is what Mark should be reminded of, because, and this is my third tip, the annual interview is above all a self-evaluation.
Do you want to go deeper into the subject? We are delighted to accompany you on the course, setting up meetings with your employees. See you soon.